Okay, let's start this now. Okay. What I just wanted to explain that you must have seen when I have taught anthropology, that meaning scope and development of anthropology. Okay, I was really, I had used a very different approach, right? I was super duper slow. The reason was that it is going to create a strong base for entire uh, topics in anthropology. So you do have to understand that anthropology is a unique discipline. It is a unique discipline because of its nature. It is bridging a gap between, tell me, social science and natural science. So the characteristic of anthropology, I would say, the characteristic of anthropology is biosocial. So when we are arguing that humans are, unique creature, and we need to understand its development from various perspectives. Okay, so we are focusing on its biological development and cultural development. This is we have been discussing, like, long time back in basics of anthropology. Also, I have discussed the same point. Now, the reason we all go for anthropology because it is a very safe discipline, specifically those who are coming from science background. Okay, there would be certain facts that is there in your, I would say, that is there. You do have a lot of practices of learning the facts. Okay, so you do have concise attitude while framing and understanding the answers that actually help you in answer writing. That actually help in answer writing. Pani de dijiye. That actually help in answer writing. Social cultural part. Okay. So now we know that how anthropology is reflecting in holistic study of a mankind. Okay, so anthropology is telling you that we are in the service of humanity. In the service of humanity, we are creating empathy. For to understand that, to support that, we are also discussing that how primates did have this feeling. Okay, and that is where this feeling, this emotions, this empathy is something we have we have created. So we do have emotions biologically. I do have chemical reactions in my brain. I will feel anger, mujhe gussa aayega. I will feel love, I will feel a lot of emotions. But then I have to also regulate it. No, I have to be different from others because now I'm human. But how this journey we have got, that is what explained by Jacob and Stan. That is what was explained by Melville Herskowitz. That is also explained by Koebo, right? That is also been explained by various Kant, Aristotle. Fine. So, Hume, we have discussed a lot of anthropologists. Now, in this topic, this cultural evolution, that is, anthropological theories, I would say the most interesting, the lengthiest, and it is going to create days for your GS paper, as I have said earlier. So you would see that in all these theories, okay, for example, here, anthropological theories here, you will find this portion, this part, that the first theory, classical evolutionism, is reflecting on the work of Taylor, Morgan, and Fraser. Okay, so Edward Bernard Taylor, Morgan, Fraser, we do have little idea on these thinkers' work. They are actually arguing that how we have evolved, how culture has evolved. So they are arguing basically that the culture is a resultant of unilinear development. So Fraser, Morgan, they all are arguing that, see, we have we have abandoned our animal instincts, and now we are in the way of creating culture. So earlier humans had created culture. It was highly savage in nature. We were like hunter and gatherers. We have created some rudimentary form of rituals and etc. Then we become barbaric, and then we become civilized. And to explain this development, we have Henry Maine, we do have Morgan, Taylor. They are saying that everything develops slowly and gradually from one stage to another stages. Okay, but this theory lacks evidences that, okay, this is only the way culture has developed. Okay, so we only have to understand the debates. Now, this theory was criticized by diffusionism, by historical particularism. So, diffusionism is arguing that it is not at all that from one stage to second stage and the third stage we have got a theory. So, diffusionism is also about that one idea got diffused and it spread to all the parts. For example, Egyptologists argue that the culture has evolved from Egypt. अपना पहले पानी रख दिया करो, खोल दीजिएगा गिलास. Just a moment, let me have water. Okay. तो हाँ जी, diffusionism, okay? In diffusionism, for example, I was just explaining you Egyptologist view, and there are a lot many thinkers. While I will explain that. So Egyptologists are just simply arguing that, let's just say, that all the rituals and the culture that originated from Egypt, and from Egypt it spread to the other parts. And then they have given the reasons also, because there was the longest Nile River. We have got like hydraulic part. We have got like how we are going to do irrigation for agriculture, this and that. Okay. And then in diffusion you have three schools: British, German, and American. Okay, you must have made this. Then very interesting, and this person is also known as father of modern anthropologists, Franz Boas. Franz Boas is arguing that it is your geography, it is your history, your specific economic, political conditions are those traits or those important factors that has created culture. Okay, so historical particularism given to us by Franz Boas. Okay, so Franz Boas is explaining that culture has evolved differently for different reasons. So you can write down one or 2 points that Franz Boas is arguing that there is a diversity in cultural evolution. So every culture has evolved differently. Yeah. Franz Boas has explained about historical particularism. There are various thinkers. Okay, Smith hai, Lewis Smith hai, right? We do have Karl Winslow. Okay, we do. No. Diffusionism is different. Okay. No. See, these are the two actually theories that criticize classical evolutionism. Classical evolutionism, first of all, got criticized by diffusionists. Okay. Then further diffusionist school got criticized by historical particularism, Franz Boas. Okay. Then these three, see, this is the easiest part because हमने बहुत पढ़ा है इसे. Then the two parts, and then functionalism, structural functionalism, which will be not difficult because we have discussed Radcliffe, Brown, and Malinowski while understanding the religion part. Similar theory, but more theoretical in nature. Okay. Then we do have structuralism, Levi Strauss and Edmund Leach. Easiest. Okay. So this part of theory, part 1, will be lengthy. It is talking about the macro structure, how we have created a culture. It's like abstract concept. We are going to talk about like cultural circle, Crotius circle, or common second unity of mankind. There will be lot many points. Okay, that is something you will see here. Now, once you have understood this part, ना जब आपका ये वाला part समझ में आ जाएगा आपको theories का, I will get into the next part. Okay. For example, this new evolutionism. New evolutionism में आपको criticism मिलेगा. Okay, what criticism? That new evolutionists is arguing that ठीक है, evolutionists have a fundamental point, but they lack evidences. So new evolutionism is talking about multilinear evolution. Please write down multilinear evolution. Okay. So Schild, White, Stewart, Sellins, and Surveys. UPSC did ask question, and generally when they are asking question on anthropological theories, they are asking on 2-3 thinkers. Okay. Then you have cognitive theories, that is Taylor and Conklin. Okay. Then you have culture and personality. Okay. Then you have cultural materialism, Marvin Harris. Then symbolic and interpretative theories, Turner, Schneider, and Geertz. Okay. So you can see that you're going to learn about more than 10 to 12 thinkers. So you're already prepared for your essay. The way I'm going to teach, you will understand this. Okay. Now, because since yesterday I have not given you a test, I want all of you to write on which question? I just told you, no, in the beginning of the class. I said now that I will be asking question on this part. What was the topic? Fetishism, yeah. I'll explain a little bit, but I think I have given a lot of content yesterday, but I will explain it again. Okay. So you might can get a question on, see, in anthropology of religion, you might can get a question from thinker's perspective, or you will get a short notes. Okay. What is sacred and profane? What is rituals? Victor Turner's, Arnold Gannep's work, or functionaries, magical functionaries, priests, shamanism, naturalism, animism, animatism. So these all are the concepts. You might can get 10 marker on it. Now the question which I am telling you, it is about fetishism. Okay. Now fetishism is again a concept in which we are explaining that we do have a belief in supernatural power. And we are presenting and we are making any object as powerful. For example, this glass. If I want to say that this glass is very powerful, I will say that my father's or my Bhagwan spirit is living, my Bhagwan is living here. And I will start, worshipping it. So intrinsic value of this glass is nothing. It's plastic. Yeah, it's plastic. But then it has high level of meaning to me. Now this fetishism term has been used by various thinkers, specifically by Karl Marx, where he argued fetishism of commodities. Okay? I mean, see guys, you people have to be very real in your life. Okay? And you people are civil aspirants. The intrinsic value of this material thing is nothing. For instance, do you think that wearing gold or wearing diamonds or having lot of money in your bank account will make any difference in your survival? You can survive with basic needs. This is what Maslow hierarchy is talking about. You will read in your paper 1, Misamta, this Aging and Theories, where I would be talking. Maslow hierarchy, you will read there. So he's also talking about the same part. See how I'm explaining this fetishism of commodity in a philosophical manner. Fetishism is basically creating an illusion. I may survive without even eating 3 times. This is what I have learned in very basic of my life. Okay, from very beginning. And this is what you people have to understand when I'm talking about the religion, that it's spirituality. So why do you have to eat too much? Why you are always talking about the food? Now you can control it when you can think like this, that there are lot many people who are not even getting one meal. And if you have that empathy, because that can start from the beginning. If you are like, if you can think and read. When I was growing up, I used to feel a very bad, this is what culture and personality. I'm reflecting everything. So right now, what I'm explaining, this is what been explained by Ruth Benedict, Margaret Mead, and also by this school, interpretative school. There is that, yeah, Ralph Linton, Abraham Cardino, and Cora Du Bois. They're explaining that how your childhood stage is actually reflecting your personality. It is creating your personality. So when I was growing up, I still clearly remember that there was some riots or something happening in Kashmir, and they were like, the people who came and they were looking for the refugees. And we all were eating food, and there were some small, children of that one family. Still, I feel so bad. It impacted my mind actually. So me and my joint, because I come from a joint family, and we all siblings were eating food and enjoying, everything was there. And then somebody, there was a bell rang, and they were a family. They were Kashmiri refugees. They were asking help and all. So my mother helped whatsoever they did, and I was just like, I was just mesmerized at that point of time by the kids. Okay, those families were having lot many small, like, infant. I love kids. Okay, so I was just wanted to play with them and all, right? Since they were not beggar, okay, they were refugees. There was some problem happening over there. So while my mother gave some money and all that, I developed some sort of talking, with kids. And because I was curious to see कि कौन है, and I had some food in my hand. Okay, मुझे बस देखना था कि कौन है ना, because वो बहुत ही blubby, rebellious sort of, मुझे कुछ मना करते मुझे वही काम करना है. Okay, so I just went with them, and I was just having like, some roti and chicken and all that in my. तो मैंने वो जल्दी से fold कर लिया because I wanted to see कि क्या हो रहा है बाहर, इतनी शोर क्यों है, मम्मा किसको हेल्प कर रही है, all that. उसके बाद क्या हुआ, so while they were going, so that boy, small boy, asked me to have that, food. मेरा हाथ में ही था. And when he was asking, his father was crying. It like hurt me too much. It hurt me too much that I can't even, मुझे आज भी याद है, मुझे ना, I feel so bad because as I felt that as if my father was crying. He felt so bad, mother के, इसके बच्चे ने खाना, तो उनका हर्ट हुआ होगा उसके फादर को बहुत. Although I came, I was really small, but it impacted my mind like anything because I could see the emotions. And then that father, उनका जो बहुत रोने, he started hugging me, beta बहुत अच्छा, he started giving me blessings and all that because I gave. Whatsoever I had, I just gave, and I just played, and I just went out. But touch, that blessing is there in my heart still. So that shapes my personality. This is what Abraham Cardino and Ralph Linton is talking about, primary stage. Whatsoever happens in your life, it will remain with you. So culture also has a personality. This is a micro aspect. See how I have narrated this point to all of you? Until today, I don't feel like eating too much because every time I'm feeding myself, I can see that scenario in my mind. So that started my interest. And though I come from a bakery and confectionery and hotel family, so I have always seen a rich food. You know, my parents, my because I was close to my father, I was, no, I mean I am. So I am close to my father. So whenever he used to cook, my uncle, my, everyone, I used to be there. Okay. So I have always seen, and I have always only seen, but I have never cooked in my house. When I was with my father, in my father's house, see how my personality is shaping up. Why? Because there was a saying that, my brother will go out and my mother, my aunties, my chachi, they all are making the food and they all are enjoying. Although they used to be there, they used to not talk the way my parents, my brother, the males used to talk to the females. Patriarchy, power dynamics, it also shaped my personality. समझ में आया? Now, how it is coming? Ruth Benedict and Margaret Mead is arguing that actually it is coming out of your culture. What is wrong in this? Whatsoever my father did, or the patriarchy, it is a part of Muslim community, it is a part of Indian patriarchy, no? So Ruth Benedict and Margaret Mead has explained this theory that the culture you have, it is shaped by your society only. So this is the one word, Chrysanthemum, and the sword of, and chrysanthemum is the Japanese flower, national flower, and the sword. So these thinkers are arguing that your childhood days are very important. So in Japan, what is happening? It's a case study you will read. Okay. So in Japan, what is happening? Parents are taking care of their children a lot when they are growing up. Okay. So they take care of the children. They do everything. And this is so true. In my, again, see, I am openly discussing my personal life with all of you so that you people can understand that this big theories, this macro explanation is nothing but interpretation of your own life. So if I can explain with my examples to you, you apply on your own. And then you will see that, oh, Margaret Mead is talking about this. It is so easy. So let me just tell you that, when I've got my daughter, I always had a mind that I have to create a perfect environment for her where she will become critical. Okay, I did whatsoever in my life, leaving the person, the love of my life, because, my ex-husband, the only thing I wanted in my life. Okay, but I left him also because it was not going well, and I just saw that there is one individual who is dependent on me. Uski personality shape up ho rahi hai. If I am not happy, I cannot make anyone happy. I am not Bhagwan. मैं औरत हूँ. मेरी खुद की desires हैं. I am a mother. I have a desire. I have to stay happy. Then only I can make other happy. I decided that no, I will not live like this because I want to shape her personality. Why? Because I have read too much and I'm applying it. Left that. Okay. And now I'm working only to make the surroundings. This is what in Chrysanthemum and the Sword, Mead is also talking about. That the Japanese children, you see in today's, the most efficient people are Japanese. Look at their training. Children, couples actually decide before, planning that they want to go for children. Nowadays, so, kya hi hai? But they want, and they want them. They give them proper training. Proper training they give. So what is happening? They treat their children as flower. That is why they give the reference of chrysanthemum. Okay. Then, while they are growing up, it's very nice. Parents are lovely. Okay, सब कुछ उन्हीं के हिसाब से होता है. And this concept is philiocentrism. लिख लो साइड में. Because UPSC में भी ये क्वेश्चन आया हुआ है, सोशो में तो आया है, आप में भी आ सकता है. Philiocentrism. जो बात मैं कर रही हूँ, it is actually philiocentrism. Whatsoever I'll do, I'll take decision around my daughter, like my children. Okay. So just imagine, I used to live at my home, and I generally what happened if you are going, if small children are playing on, they don't play with toys. They play with home, instruments, utensils, and so on. So my daughter, learned to hold the pen. Okay, so it is very, you really like it, something new. So children ko bahut acha lagta hai, they start doing it. So I used to give her pen and paper, pencil, and I told her to write. She never used to write on the papers. Okay, where she used to write? On the walls. Everyone. I didn't do anything at that point of time. I never stopped her. In fact, I told her that do whatsoever. Okay, and she used to, she started using scribbling, and then when she started growing, मैंने तब तक उसको नहीं रोका. And I do have pictures. She is writing black hole. She is writing, mathematic pattern. And today she can make stories like anything, which I also believe. She's a brilliant author. I know that I have created a talent. Why? Because I know that it is a very important stage. Although I am going through separation, I am going through depression, I am going through very tough time, but I have always stood as very strong woman in front of her. Fight. You fight. Why? Because I am raising a child. Today she is grown up, 13 years, 12, 14 years. I have created her personality. I know. I have. Okay? So this is how Japanese people are thinking. But now what happened? Because since I have read too much and I'm teaching you, all of you, what Japanese people are doing, they're always raising their kids with some objective. They want their children to achieve. And if they don't achieve, they start feeling bad. Now they are walking on the sword. समझ में आया? क्या? बताओ? Now their life is like as if everything is so bad. Whatever they do, no one is appreciating. Now there's a clash in personality. And now they become aggressive. During World War, right? So anthropologists were not allowed to go for the field work. What she did, she did her study on prisoners, Japanese prisoners. And then she found that they're highly efficient because of the discipline, but they're aggressive. And today you would see that in Japan, there's a restaurant where where there's no human. You go, you pay, you eat, you come. Isolation. Okay? It's a very important part. All of you please understand. You people are going to be your parents, future. I do not know. आजकल तो नहीं करना है आप लोगों ने. शादी ही नहीं करनी है. Okay? But the point here is that your personality is shaped by your socialization. That from the very beginning. Can you just see the macro and micro explanation of the cultural development? Classical evolutionists, Henry Wayne is talking about that earlier you are savage, from savage you have become barbaric, and then you are becoming civilized. Here I am talking about as if I am talking, I am explaining a theory from my own life. This is how you need to know. Okay? So ये समझ में आया? Little bit, we'll discuss. Okay? So it is like that. We need to know how we are understanding. For example, if I'll talk about, because you people know about binary opposition, Levi-Strauss, right? So there's one theory on Levi-Strauss where Levi-Strauss is talking about structuralism, structure. Then Edmund Leach. Edmund Leach is another favorite person. He is also giving, life of philosophy. Edmund Leach and binary opposition. You might can get a question on it. My personal advice to all of you, take these thinkers as your best friends. You will never find any, you don't require people. You might require people for your, some requirements as human beings. You need to talk, you need something. But if you, read these thinkers, you will realize that, they are making sense in so many things, right? So I would say that at least when you people have taken anthropology or sociology, read these thinkers the way I'm explaining in a philosophical manner, because that you would use in your essay. Now, binary opposition, do you remember? I have taught. Anyone? Me? Pratap? किसी को याद है? What is binary opposition? Opposite kind of thing. So what is that? Anyone can define binary opposition to me? And I'll explain it with religion. No, I'll explain it with religion, binary opposition का concept. Yeah, quickly. Anyone? Online aspect, am I not audible? Am I? What is binary opposition? Am I audible or not? Yeah. Yes, tell me what is binary opposition? Okay, binary opposition is like we work in opposites. भगवान है तो हैवान है, जन्नत है तो दोजख है, लड़का है तो लड़की है, राइट? सच है तो झूठ है. So our mind works in binary opposition. We have discussed this in methanes. Yeah, transpose and that methanes. We have discussed that. Now, binary opposition is talking about two extremes. There's nothing in two extremes. There is no black and white. There is in between. You can't be sage. You can't be, that corrupted insan. ना तो आप रावण है, ना तो आप राम है. Up, you're somewhere between. This is what Edmund Leach is talking. Gray. Something is gray in between. Balanced approach. ये समझना है एडमंड लीच का पॉइंट. किसी भी चीज में एक्सट्रीम ही नहीं जाओ. कंट्रोल. Life is not actually about death and life. There is something in between the process, living. Binary opposition में यही तो हो रहा है ना, life and death. But what about living? तो कभी भी पूरा ना तो सच होगा, ना तो कभी पूरा झूठ होगा, मिक्स होगा. एक आपका सच होगा, एक मेरा सच होगा, एक सच होगा. लेकिन जो एक सच होगा वो कौन डिसाइड करेगा? कि मेरे लिए मेरा सच, आपके लिए आपका सच. समथिंग इन बिटवीन. एंड जो सच है फिर वो, या यहीं पे तो रिलीजन है, तो भगवान से तय करेगा. ठीक है? Now, can I not use this Edmund Leach line when I would be explaining theories? Can I not use binary opposition concept in a philosophical manner? That's what you have to do in your essay. Okay? Essay में कुछ करना थोड़ी ना है, आपको applications डालनी है सिर्फ. Take whatsoever option, but yes, Socio and Anthro is like very helpful. सबसे ओवरलैपिंग है. अगर आप फिलोसफी लेते हो लेटर से, तो आप सिर्फ थिंकर्स ही पर बात करते हो. बट एंथ्रो एंड सोशो में यू आर गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट प्रॉब्लम्स एज वेल. Societal part, you're going to talk about Indian society also, GS part, and this is how you have to relate. So you can see that how I have given importance to socialization. So you can quote Gora Boys, you can quote Linton, you can quote Abraham, Margaret Mead, Root. Here you're talking about the life process. Okay? You can quote Edmund Leach, you can quote binary opposition. कुछ इन बिटवीन का रास्ता करो ना. अगर ये समझ में आता तो फाइट ही नहीं है कहीं, ना तुम्हारी ना मेरी. लेट्स हैव समथिंग इन बिटवीन. ओके, समझ में आया? नाउ आई वुड से this is how we need to understand anthropological theories. Okay, this is how you will see, we'll talk about this part. For example, David Schneider is talking about the contemporary form of kinship. Nowadays, I mean, today you must have talked about transgender bill. Okay, nowadays you have different types of family. Two gays, if they are living, or two lesbians they are living, they can also make a family. Third gender is, in 2014 we have got third gender, and then 2019 there was some debate, kya aajkal jo chal raha hai. Okay, now you need to understand this part. Nowadays you don't have male or female, you can get pregnant. I mean, I can get pregnant without even having male, right? By technology. So there are now anthropologists, social cultural anthropologists, are arguing that no, we cannot just define kinship either by alliance, that is marriage, or by biological. Okay, so now we know that it is updating. So family is changing, roles of male and female is changing, like husband and wife is changing, children is changing. बच्चे आपके कभी हो ही नहीं सकते, ये बात बिल्कुल एंथ्रो सोशल बिल्कुल क्लियर करती है. बच्चे ना जमाने के होते हैं, राइट? दिस इज व्हाट एवोल्यूशन इज telling itself to be correct, proving right. No matter what I do, no matter what sanskar I would do, kahin na kahin that person would be reflected by that, age. समझ में आ रहा है? Okay, so this is what we need to understand, the most important, I would say, theories. Okay, and my approach is very because since I am going to explain in a manner कि आप लोग ऐसे भी इसका लिख पाओ, और बहुत philosophical way में मैं इसको explain करूंगी सारा, तो आपको बहुत help होगा. Okay, you will remember me कि theories ऐसे पढ़ाया मैम ने कि हम इसको ऐसे में भी यूज कर सकते हैं. ओके, तो कभी भी एंट्री पॉइंट ऐसे में लेने में आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगा. ओके, आई विल गिव यू अ क्वेश्चन अभी, एंड देन यू पीपल विल राइट एन आंसर, ओके, ऑन फेटिशिज्म ऑफ कमोडिटी, एंड देन आई विल गिव द फीडबैक. ऑल ऑफ यू विल गिव मी एन आंसर. प्लीज राइट डाउन.